It's a lovely good evening and a warm welcome to Bmtv main news bulletin at 18 hours. We're live on channel 114 on your top star decoders. We're live on our Facebook page, YouTube, and you can stream the news live via our website, that is www.bmtvzambia.com. Now let me take you through these stories that are making headlines this evening. President Hakainde Hichilema launches UPND manifesto. Chawama resident condemns political violence. ADEG commends HH for declining to assent to public gathering bill. In international news, Gulf states condemns Iranian strikes as regional tensions escalates. And in sports news, FIFA boss defends World Cup tickets prices and brushes over visa rule. Well, to present the news in detail, my name is Sontwa. The Republican president and United Party for National Development UPND presidential candidate Hakainde Hichilema today launched the party's manifesto at the Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka. During the launch, President Hichilema reminded Zambians of the challenges his administration inherited upon assuming office in 2021. He cited the country's debt burden, the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, electricity shortages, and challenges in the water and sanitation sector as some of the major obstacles faced by his government. The head of state noted that at the time his administration took office, the country had limited access to COVID-19 vaccines and was grappling with economic difficulties. He said many opposition political players doubted his ability to deliver on campaign promises, leading to the nickname Bashi Promise.
Is at May, not June, is at May to a parallel. May 2021, before we took public office, inflation was 23% plus, towards 24%. May 2026, 4 years and 8 months thereafter, inflation was 6.6%. There is delivery. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And I've always told Zambians, let's focus on delivery. Let's not listen to noise. Let's focus on the work to be done. 24% near, same period, 6.6%. If it wasn't for the war in Iran, Middle East, by now we would have gone better than the band we indicated. We indicated an inflation band of between 6 to 8-9%. By now we would have been outside that range on the positive side, for the better. Somebody will say, what's the meaning of that? How does it benefit you? It benefits you because the cost of doing business is getting lower and lower. The cost of living is getting lower and lower. That's what we promised. That's what we promised. That is the issue here. We can't tell you what we're doing in the years ahead without reviewing what we said we'll do in 2021 and what we've done. We must be organized. We must be intentional. We must communicate.
Looking ahead, the president said his administration's vision is centered on accelerating economic growth through job creation, a favorable tax regime, improved health care services, and expanded educational opportunities. He further added that despite the economic challenges encountered after taking office, his administration has made significant strides in reviving the country's economy. The president also announced plans to ensure that every province has a university in order to reduce the financial burdens on students and families. He added that government will continue investing in boarding schools, infrastructures to increase access to education, particularly for learners in rural and underserved areas. The UPND manifesto outlines the party's development agenda and priorities as it seeks to build on achievements recorded during his first term in office.
We can grow job opportunities inside each province of the 10 provinces. Yes. Never done before. Watch the steps. Watch the steps. What else are we going to do? We are going to drive digitization of our economy so that we reduce wastage, corruption, levies collection will improve. Councils will earn more money. ZRA will earn more money without overtaxing people, but will improve the efficiencies of collection. Yes. I understand tax theory myself. You increase the taxes, you collect less. You lower and fair taxes, it sounds contradictory, but it's true, you collect more. Yes. But now we collect with efficiencies. Yes. How about that? Let me say a few things about where we are going next. The things I've touched on. Pillar 1, growing the economy, is our mantra now. Our song in the night, in the morning, or at lunch, in the evening is economic growth. Seek ye economic growth and other things will fall in place. Seek ye economic growth and other things will fall in place. Such as what? Jobs. Free education. Yes. Right? Healthcare. Yes. Water and sanitation. Yes. Roads infrastructure. Yes. I can go on and on. Yes. It's a beautiful story to tell. And we're passionate about it. Very passionate about it.
Now, let me take you into Chawama community, where concerns over political violence continue to grow following recent incidents in Chawama, Kabwe Central and Mazabuka Central constituencies. While authorities have taken steps to restore calm, a Chawama resident and Disability Rights Watch have expressed concern over the impact of violence on democratic participation and electoral inclusion. We've got our reporter Ruth Msakabantu with the details.
Concerns over political violence continue to dominate public discussion, with residents and advocacy groups warning that the recent incidences could have far-reaching consequences on democratic participation. A Chawama resident, who has chosen to remain anonymous for fear of being targeted, says no citizen should be attacked or intimidated for supporting a political party or candidate of their choice. The resident says democracy can only thrive when people are free to express their political views and cast their votes without fear.
What happened was nenzochoka mtauni muja ninkala kujona award. So namvera wamuna banga banitumira phone ti muli kuti natani apa nichoka mtauni nachokonyamula nsapato ati kuno kujona award mufike bwino kulichongo ba UPND na ba Tonse Alliance babunka na kukutwalala kuja kulichongo. So mumekinge sure kuti mufike bwino pamene mubwera kuno komboni, and for sure after chaba nitumira phone tinafika papatuka paja wa basi banambo mchenjeza abantu kuti kwamene muyenda uko kulichongo basi bazachita bwanji bazapwanya.
The concerns come days after violent incidences were recorded in Chawama, Kabwe Central and Mazabuka Central constituencies, prompting intervention from both electoral and law enforcement authorities. Earlier this week, the Electoral Commission of Zambia suspended all political campaign activities in Mazabuka Central constituency, citing an unstable security situation. The Commission also condemned incidences of violence in Chawama and Kabwe Central and indicated that it would review the developments in consultation with relevant stakeholders. The Zambia Police Service also announced a series of security measures aimed at restoring calm in the affected areas. Inspector General of Police Grafael Musamba stated that police had intensified patrols, reinforcement deployments, and launched operations targeting those suspected of being behind the violence. Several arrests have since been made, particularly in Chawama and Kabwe Central, as investigations continue. Disability Rights Watch Programs Officer for Disability Inclusion and Participation, Rogers Musoma, says when political violence escalates, persons with disabilities may be unable to fully and effectively participate in electoral processes. He says this not only limits their involvement in democratic activities, but also infringes on their constitutional right to participate in public affairs.
Speaking on the effect of political violence against persons with disabilities, political violence continues to be a serious threat to the meaningful participation of persons with disabilities in electoral processes. We take note that we are in a campaign period, and this is a time when political violence tends to be very high. And when there is high political violence, you'll find that persons with disabilities may not fully and effectively participate in electoral processes, which is a violation of a constitutional right, to participation in public affairs. And of course, it diminishes the principle of, inclusive democracy. It's very important that we do not tolerate, physical assault, intimidation, whether be it physically or even on social media.
Meanwhile, calls for peaceful political engagement have continued to grow, with religious and civil society leaders urging political parties and their supporters to reject violence and embrace dialogue. For Bmtv News, I'm Ruth Musakabantu.
The Advocates for Democratic Governance Foundation, DEG, welcomes and commends President Hakainde Hichilema for declining to assent to the public gathering bill recently passed by Parliament. The foundation says the President's decision demonstrates responsiveness to the concern raised by citizens, civil society organizations, governance advocates, political stakeholders, and other interested parties who viewed the proposed law as a threat to Zambia's democratic gains and constitutional freedoms. DEG was among the organizations that consistently expressed concern over the bill because it sought to codify and entrench several restrictive provisions associated with the colonial-era Public Order Act of 1955. Rather than advancing democratic reforms, the bill risks creating additional barriers to the enjoyment of the fundamental freedoms of assembly, association, and expression guaranteed under Article 20 and 21 of the Constitution of Zambia.
The Advocates for Democratic Governance Foundation welcomes and commends President Hakainde Hichilema for declining to assent to the public gathering bill recently passed by Parliament. The decision demonstrates responsiveness to the concerns raised by citizens, civil society organizations, governance advocates, political stakeholders, and other interested parties who viewed the proposed law as a threat to Zambia's democratic gains and constitutional reforms. ADEG was among the organizations that consistently expressed concern over the bill because it sought to codify and entrench several restrictive provisions associated with the Colonial-Era Public Order Act of 1955. Rather than advancing democratic reforms, the bill risked creating additional barriers to the enjoyment of fundamental freedoms of assembly, association, and expression guaranteed under Article 20 and 21 of the Constitution of Zambia. In particular, provisions requiring citizens to seek a police approval or clearance before holding public gatherings would have perpetuated practices that have, over the years, been criticized for limiting civic participation and restricting the exercise of
Stanbic Bank Zambia Chief Executive Mwindwa Siakalima has called for sustained economic reforms, accelerated debt restructuring, and increased support for small businesses to further reduce the cost of doing business and attract investment into the country. Speaking during a panel discussion at the mid-year private sector day in Lusaka, Mr. Siakalima said that Zambia has made significant progress in strengthening its economic fundamentals, but emphasized the need for both the public and private sector to focus on implementation and policy consistency. He noted that Zambia's peace and political stability remain some of its strongest investment attraction, helping the lower country risk and boost investment confidence. Mr. Siakalima further cited the country's vast mineral resources, including critical minerals such as copper, as well as its strategic location along 6 major trade corridors as key advantages that position Zambia for increased economic growth. He said opportunities in mining, energy, agriculture, and information and communication technology should be fully exploited to drive growth during the second half of the year. In another story, the Ministry of Education has launched the Harmonized Play-Based Pedagogy Guide and the Zambia Early Child Education Library and e-catalog as part of the commemorating the International Day of Play. Speaking during the event in Lusaka, Permanent Secretary for Education Services, Dr. Kelvin Mambwe, said play is a fundamental right of every child and plays a critical role in developing literacy, numeracy, creativity, and social skills. Dr. Mambwe noted that enrollment in early education has increased from over 336,000 children in 2021 to more than 706,000 in 2025. Reflecting government's commitment to expanding access to early learning, he added that government has annexed early education, or rather early childhood education classrooms to over 7,000 primary schools and is constructing close to 300 early childhood education hubs and satellite centers across the country. Well, we go for our first set of commercials. We'll be back with international news. Stay tuned.
A lot of people actually thought you're from the Commonwealth, but even your mannerism got you up. How come you?
Hey, Shaidi Marikele sana for 11 years.
Wow.
11 years, you know. So I think I'm more popular than Lusaka. I remember we were having a rehearsal in the studio, and it was very hot. It was very hot in October, you know. And I said, guys, let's talk about shirts. Are you not feeling hot? And we took off our shirts and we're just singing. Shirtless boys. And I posted that on my Facebook. We continued rehearsing. But 2 hours later, we were viral. I received a call from Madam Mulenga Kapwepwe. You know, she told me, hi, my name is Mulenga Kapwepwe. I've seen what you're doing on social media. I felt like crying. And I think you could be the next Piquet Shala.
I have close to 23 credit rolls. That is a very high film currency. You're dealing with casting agencies. 23 credit rolls is like, now they know that you're an A-list actor. Even when it comes to the rate cards, you're able to negotiate because now they know you have range.
Maybe Nigeria should take me home. All the years I've done, I've not received nothing. No. Hey, Chineke, what have I done now?
We need to start certifying actors. I mean, look, you can't fight grace, right? If someone came 2 years ago and by the grace of God, they've blown up, it is a good thing. But you cannot take away the fact that we've been here, putting in the work, putting in the time. So that is something that needs to be professionally done. The industry here is very small. So it's very likely that even when I get on a set, we'll definitely know each other. They were like, oh, okay. Do you have a passport? I had my passport, I carried it. I just put it out of my mouth, like, it's here. They laughed. They were like, you're so prepared. I said, I am. I've been waiting for something like this. To cut the long story short, they didn't pick me.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And now we go straight into global news. Gulf leaders have strongly condemned Iranian attacks on Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan, warning that the assaults threatens regional stability, global trade and energy supplies. The criticism came as tensions intensified following fresh military exchanges involving Iran and the United States. We monitor African news with the details.
The Gulf Cooperation Council has strongly condemned what it described as Iranian attack on Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan, warning that the strikes threaten regional stability and global trade. Meeting in Bahrain's capital Manama, foreign ministers from 6-member bloc accused Tehran of targeting infrastructure, economic facilities and residential areas across the region. Our meeting is taking place at a time of serious regional challenges, following Iranian attacks that have struck critical infrastructure, commercial facilities and civilian areas across our countries. These actions have resulted in significant loss of life and extensive property damage, while the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has disrupted maritime traffic, global commerce, energy markets and the wider world economy. The meeting comes as tensions continue to escalate between Iran and the United States. Washington launched fresh airstrikes on Iran on Wednesday, while Tehran responded with missile attacks targeting countries hosting U.S. military forces.
Dozens of motorcycle taxi drivers have taken to the streets of Bunia and Rwampara in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo to spread Ebola prevention messages. Once more, Africa News brings us the details.
Motorcycle drivers wearing Stop Ebola t-shirts rode through the streets of Bunia and Rwampara on Wednesday, carrying banners and illustrations explaining how to prevent the spread of the deadly virus. The initiative, supported by the World Health Organization and local youth groups, aims to tackle misinformation and encourage communities to follow health advice. There has been a lot of skepticism and people still deny the existence of the disease. But this at least allows us to mobilize the public, to raise awareness and to inform them that Ebola exists. There are still some who doubt it. The aim is really to raise awareness and mobilize the public. The outbreak is concentrated in Ituri province, which accounts for more than 90% of confirmed cases. More than 115 people have died from Ebola, while nearly 600 infections have been confirmed. We have seen several people die from this disease. In any case, many people are dying, and that really scares us. But today, we are thrilled about this mobilization. We are truly happy. So far, we have lost 3 people in my family. The first was our pastor and another was my cousin. Almost 3 people have died. I have to say that this disease is real. Those who don't believe it should know that it is real. For now, officials say awareness campaigns like this one remain critical to slowing the spread of the virus and rebuilding trust within the affected communities.
Well, we break for commercials. We'll be back with sports news. Stay tuned.
You need to stop humiliating me. You are the same people who complain when men start looking at other women.
Apart from eating, slaying, and makeup, can you even cook? Sleep with her? Yes. It's just women and their assumptions.
Chani kare seni. Iwe. What's the problem?
Nasia soap on bath.
What is it that you're holding in your hands if it is not soap?
On, please. What is this?
You don't wear them.
But those are still mine.
Not anymore. I'm going to bend them.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us, and let's go straight into the world of sports. As the biggest World Cup in history gets underway, the head of the global football governing body, FIFA, has defended exorbitant ticket prices and visa rules. He also praised United States President Donald Trump, saying that the tournament in the US would have been impossible to organize without him. Trump's immigration crackdown has seen Somali World Cup referee Omar Atan refuse entry into the US and subsequently cut from FIFA's list. Africa News with the details.
Would you find it normal that FIFA would dictate to the British government who to let in the country and who not to let in the country? I don't know. Maybe you find it normal. I would like, personally. On the other side, the reality of the matter is that in every country there are governments. Try to get into the UK, into Germany, into Switzerland without a visa. Try to get a visa if you are from a certain country. It's not easy, that's what I want to say. It's not easy when you have 300,000 accredited people, majority of which from outside of the US, to process them, to vet them. You don't know, unfortunately our world is, a very aggressive world, and security goes above everything, and you need to respect the decisions which are taken. And when I say to chill, I don't mean to chill and do nothing. I mean to trust us that we are working behind the scenes, we are trying to understand, and there are things we can know, things we cannot know, things we are told, things we are not told.
Now we come back into local sports, where Vivo Energy Zambia has officially handed over the upgraded Chibolia Sports Grounds under its community empowerment project aimed at promoting youth development and talent identification through sports. Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Permanent Secretary Kangwa Chileshe says that the facility will help steer young people away from crime, drug abuse and other social vices by providing a platform for positive engagement. Our reporter Ruth Msakabantu brings us the details.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts, Kangwa Chileshe, has commended the private sector for investing in community development through corporate social responsibility initiatives. Mr. Chileshe said it was encouraging to see the private sector investing in communities such as Chibolia and supporting the development of young leaders. He was speaking during the handover ceremony of Chibolia Grounds Community Empowerment Project undertaken by Vivo Energy Zambia. Mr. Chileshe noted that Chibolia has often been associated with high crime levels as well as drug and alcohol abuse, but said the upgraded sports facility would provide a platform for young talent identification and development among young people.
Issues of drug, alcohol, and substance abuse, the high crime rate, etc., etc. An area that a lot of even Lusaka residents are afraid to come into. A lot of corporates are afraid to come into, but this is where the young people are. And to bring a facility like this averts things like drug, alcohol, and substance abuse, creates a platform for talent identification for young people to find a pathway in sports to succeed. So this investment cannot be overly stated. It is a step in the right direction. It is encouraging, and so as government, we applaud this grand gesture.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of Vivo Energy Zambia, Edward Walugebe, said the improvement of the football field is aimed at creating a brighter future for young people. Mr. Walugebe said the project seeks to inspire youths and provide a safe and welcoming environment for recreational and sporting activities.
It's about changing lives for us. I mean, at Vivo Energy, our business is to sell fuel and lubricants. So normally we should be bothering about motorists. But we operate in a community. So when we have a fuel station in an area like Chiwolia, we look at what else can we do to change lives that benefit or to benefit the communities where we operate. So it's about creating, life-changing opportunities, and it's about improving communities. And like the PS has said, it's about looking at the future. And in this case, this is a football academy for the youth. So it's basically creating a future for.
And Chiwolia Academy Secretary Nefas Museba expressed gratitude to Vivo Energy Zambia for the initiative, saying the upgraded facility would provide more opportunities for young people to participate in football.
So, this development that the Vivo Energy managers brought to us, the people of Chiwolia, we want to say thank you for this kind gesture that they've given us. With this, it will help us in achieving our objective, the objective of raising awareness to the young people about the illicit activities, substance abuse. So this thing will make things easier for us to spread the word and change lives. Please.
Former Zambia national player Christopher Katongo also welcomed the project, stating that the sports ground has the potential to nurture future football stars who could one day represent Zambia at the highest level.
It looks like it's a small thing that they have done, but this is a long way to go, because if the kids doesn't have many things to do, you're going to do some certain things. But this one, it's a good motivation. As a young kid, when I was growing up, you can be motivated in many things. Maybe you have the kit to use, you have the boots to use, but if you have the ground, that's a good motivation for this community. And you don't give up. If you want to be a sports person, you want to play football specifically, like we are in the ground of soccer, never give up, have a dream, have courage, be disciplined, love the sport, you become one of the stars that this Zambia has produced.
Reporting for BMTV in Chiwolia, I'm Ruth Musakabantu.
Well, thank you so much, Ruth, for that report. On that note, we end our news bulletin, but before we do so, a recap of the stories that made headlines. President Hakainde Hichilema launches UPND manifesto. Chawama resident condemns political violence. ADEG commends HH for declining to assent to the public gathering bill. In international news, Gulf states condemns Iranian strikes as regional tensions escalates. And in sports news, FIFA boasts defends World Cup tickets prices and brushes off visa roar. Well, thank you so much for being with us on behalf of our newsroom, our crew. Ruth Msakavantu, our reporter, Mr. Demon Nkata, our news editor, on production, Mr. Aldrich Kampamba, on transmission, on camera 1 and 2, Jackson Tembo and Mr. Douglas Banda. This has been Sontwa Morris Nkala. Says for watching and stay glued to BMTV.